look beautiful? Is it possible? But I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I try to minimize the impact of the rooftops. You can see it's a warm gray. So I color matched all this. And then you can see with this salmon color, if I had done these like a brick, darker brick red, like let's say these stones are, then this whole thing would have gone dark. And it would not have been very, very happy to look at. The other big thing, and we talked about it in our last thing, I think, and I'd like to talk about this. If you take a look, you go on the comprehensive list, and you look at my career. All my life, I've had these major eras. I've worked as a painter. When I quit painting paintings that you saw in my living room, people said, "You quit painting, Bob? What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm doing miniature 1/12 scale." Well, I did miniature 1/12 scale seriously for about 15 years. And then I stopped doing 1/12 scale. The art form evolved into something new. And those people were upset with me. And then I did our miniature studio in our house that Eva oversaw. And we really pushed the art form, did landscapes and that. And then I stopped that and I got into story time. And then story time stopped. Story time only lasted, I don't know how many years it lasted, maybe 5 years. But these things end. They do not go on. How come? There's cultural impacts. There's economic impacts. There's my own interest as an artist. Someday this will end. I hate to say it, but this Main Street someday will come to an end. And, we put on the website this week about these trees. And these are an important part of the artistic statement about what this landscape is. And when you take a look at the park in an aerial view, which I have aerial view shots, as they trim these little trees, they get more and more round. So I was very aware of that. So you'll take a look. I kept this very tidy Main Street USA look on these trees. And I was very aware that I was repeating the treetops. And I was very aware that I was going to morph this into these rangier trees that would eventually morph into these more freeform trees with the pines and these palms over here into these rangier, bigger leafed jungle cruise trees. So what's happened is we've sold our whole first go round to these corner trees, and we're doing the second group of them. And I really, because it's my problem financially, I really don't want to warehouse these for people to make up their mind. So I told, Travis, I said, look, you order the 100. If they're not going to order the 100, then don't even order them. We surveyed the list, and we said, okay, if you want them, we'll run them. So, but I'm just one small individual. I don't have this big, huge budget behind me. If I spend my personal money on this and warehouse them, then I get stuck with them all. So that's why we said, and you're going to see, our goal is to get what's left in the warehouse down to the node. And if you think that there's going to be an endless supply of these bases, these things that weigh 90 pounds, Travis and I loaded 35 of these on a truck, and I have a $15,000 hernia operation to prove it. I'm really serious. He and I were loading them up to deliver up north, and that was a great trip with him over those 3 days. But these are not the kinds of things that we want to just continually reorder. We got to bring them in by the container load and bring them in. So in your minds, I'm not saying I'm going to end this, but in your mind, you have to realize that 8 years into this, and not everything lasts forever. So it's a friendly way to talk about this. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Decisions I was making 8 years ago work today. And I could have made a real bad decision on some of this stuff. I don't think there's too much to add to this piece yet. I'm so happy we got the monorail, and I came and I worried about it, and I extended this by 2 inches so I could get this in. Here's this guy, I put him out because he's in scale with that. The only thing I could think possibly left would be maybe this dinosaur thing over here. I'd love to do that, but it may never get done. I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for it. And I was so happy to add in the rocket liner. That's an option for you. when I designed these pieces 4 or so many years ago, we had no intentions of doing Monsanto House or Rocket Liner, and that was just asked of us, maybe a year ago. So, yeah, does it fit? No, but, I think in mine, I want it in there, and, we'll build some kind of a kit that you can get that thing lit up, because I want mine lit up. But if I had, like in this piece, Bruce Gordon came up here. He's the guy that did the Nickel Tour book, and he just passed away this just in the last few months. And what a great guy! And he would come up here and talk about this, and he said, "You have to put the Monsanto House here. That's where it belongs." It's like, oh, Bruce, if I'd known that, they were going to ask for the Monsanto House, I would have never put this tree here. Would have made my life easier. And this tree would have been out, and I could have set that right down on that walkway and that pavement. So, it's something you have to, you can't solve everything ahead. You just don't know. And when I made the decision to put the train around the back, I talked to Michael Brogy, and I called him, and I said, "Michael, please come up and look at this." I said, "Do you think it's okay to put the train track going behind the castle, even though it doesn't go there?" And he was all for it. He said yes, because the train is like a ribbon on a box, as he likes to say. So, this is what it takes to do something like this. We're going to leave another talk to talk about that Fantasyland piece over there. So I don't want you to think that we have the okay on that. We don't. But I'm working on Mr. Toad's ride. And I can't just work on it without considering the impact on the whole thing. They may come back in 2 years and say, "Okay, do the Fantasyland thing," but right now it's a no-go, and I'm not really counting on it. But I can't make a mistake and ruin that whole Fantasyland layout because I didn't think about it today. So thanks for the studio visit. I tried to make this short and compact, but it's how long it takes to take something like this. It's 8 years in the making.